Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's episode of Modesty's Mortgage Masterclass. I hope you're all well. It's midweek already. So, and every Wednesday we gather here to learn more about mortgages and the property industry, get ourselves updated and our knowledge updated on what's happening and what's been happening in the mortgage and properties industry. And I remain your man, Ikenna Umezudike, the Director of Modesty Financial Consultants Limited, a financial consulting firm based in Luton. It's a small town in United Kingdom. We're specialists in mortgages, financial advice, investments, and financial consulting. And this is my bits that I do every Wednesday to educate you and to enlighten you and to update you on the recent things and events happening in the mortgage and properties industry, and just to let you know what you need to do in certain cases if you've got to sort things out in relation to your mortgages and properties. Okay, so today, like I said, I like starting off this session, especially on Wednesdays, with positive vibes, because I just want to fill the air with positivity and see that we are flowing in the flow of positivity. So our positive vibe of the week is coming from a friend, a classmate as well, who left me this very touching and very valuable feedback. He actually left that feedback on a WhatsApp chat group that we belong to together as old schoolmates. And today I just thought, okay, let me bring this up because it is positive in nature, and it encourages me as a person, and I wish to also read out to also express my gratitude to him publicly as well, once again, for leaving such a wonderful feedback, and it means a lot to me. And also to let you know that there is positivity everywhere if you choose to focus on the positive side of things. But people who are perpetually negative, please avoid people like that. They will never see anything good in anything good. No matter how good how you present it, they will never see anything good in it anyway. But hey, we're not talking about people who, if there is any feedback you wish to leave us on this show, on this particular presentation, please feel free. It doesn't have to be fantastic. As long as it's constructive, we take everything on board and we work on it. So our positive vibe of the week goes like this, and I'm going to quote exactly what he wrote. He said, Ume, because that's what they used to call me when we were back then in secondary school. Ume, just Ume, U-M-E-H, because my classmates were too lazy to pronounce my surname in full. So Umezudike was too long for them to pronounce. And they decided to shorten it to Ume, and then some people coined it as Ume. He said, Ume, you always match your words with action. I referred my brother to you, and you opened up a world of great opportunities to him and a couple of his friends. You are a true friend and brother. Thanks so much, unquote. So this is from Engineer Obinna Okeke, a classmate and a friend of mine who I really, really take, every word he says to heart. And thank you so much, Engineer. I really appreciate those words, and I've never forgotten about them since you said them. So that's our positive vibe of the week, and we appreciate those positive words. Please keep them coming, and we'll keep reading them back here. So if you want me to read out those positive things, we'd prefer also put them in writing on any platform: WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere on our YouTube channels. Let's know what you think, and we'll come here and we show appreciation and we read them out to encourage you and encourage ourselves as well. Okay, so I really remain very, very grateful, and thank you for the referral to your brother. And I'm glad that your brother found our services very useful, even though we are still in that process. But hey, I'm going to tell you something about this referral. This referral from this old schoolmate of mine opened up a lot of other things. because he referred his brother to me, and before we could even go any further in his brother's mortgage arrangement, his brother was already referring me to a lot of his friends, even before we went, far enough with his own case. And then it opened up this plethora of contacts for me, because one referral led to another, led to another, led to another, and before I knew it, my book was full with bookings and people wanting to do stuff with us. And then we became friends. I've made a lot of friends, from this single referral, and they all are in love with what we're doing, and we keep doing things together. So I've got a lot of clients up there in Manchester now as a result of this. So I'm almost like a Manchester boy living in Luton, because I know a lot about people in Manchester and things happen in Manchester, even though I don't go there very often. But hey, that's how powerful referrals and words of mouth could be. So thank you very much, Obinna. So today we want to be talking about, minimizing the risk of mortgage into retirement, and then we will talk about more of other things as well, as it relates to updates in the properties and mortgage market. But looking at mortgage into retirement, of course, we know that mortgage is a long-term financial commitment, and to some people that might even be the biggest financial commitment they've ever made in their lives. So you can take out a mortgage for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Even these days, there are 40-year mortgages. So the chances that those mortgages would continue into your retirement age, it's very, very likely. So that's why we want to talk about it today, because it's a real risk that you could be repaying your mortgage even when you have retired. Some people are still paying their mortgage well into their retirement age. So, and there are risks associated with that, and we want to be looking at those risks and how you can minimize them. So this is based on a research that was carried out by Hargreaves Lansdown. They are a very reputable fund management firm, and they surveyed they surveyed some people who are paying their mortgages to find out how that has impacted their retirement, and how they are bearing up with that in their retirement, and when they expect to repay their mortgages, even for those who have not retired. So this research carried out by Hargreaves Lansdown was targeted at people aged 55 and above. So of those that were surveyed, about 20% of them said that they will be repaying their mortgages beyond the age of 65. Okay, now the state retirement age, depending on your date of birth in the UK, is between 67 and 68 years. Depending on whether you are male or female, and then depending on your age or your date of birth. So if you want to find out what your state retirement age is, just go online and Google state retirement age, type in your date of birth, and it will tell you when, what your state retirement age should be, whether it's 67 or 68. Now, so 20% of these respondents said that they will be repaying their mortgages beyond the age of 65. Now, about 5% of them said that they will never be able to repay their mortgages. Okay. Now, this research also found out that the average age at which people or borrowers expect to fully repay their mortgage, the average age is 60. Last year, this same survey was carried out, and the average age was 58. Now it's added 2 years to that 58. That's an indication that we might be working, for longer, and we might be doing things longer than we are currently doing them, because life expectancy recently is higher, especially in the UK. So we find that people are living longer, and it's affecting the way a lot of contracts are being structured, including mortgage contracts. There are more long-term mortgages now available in the market than there used to be before, because they're not taking into consideration the fact that people are living longer, and people are living longer, people are also having to work for longer. All right, so that's the outcome of this research by Hargreaves Lansdown. Now let's look at the implications of this research and what we can make of it. So it means that mortgage burden could actually lay deep into your golden years of retirement. You could go into retirement, into your golden years of retirement, still carrying your mortgage burden. So the mortgage situation and the mortgage market in today is pointing to the fact that it's almost inevitable that a lot of young people will be burdened with mortgages well into their retirement. Okay, so because there are long-term mortgage products of between 35 to 40 years available in the market these days. And people are taking those products. Some people are taking 40 years mortgages, some are taking 35 years, some are taking 30 years, some are taking 32 years, depending on how old or how young they were at the time they are taking the mortgage. So a lot of young people, somebody who is about, say, in their early 30s, and they'll be thinking, well, if I take 35-year mortgage, by the age of 65 or 67, I should be paying it off. So I'll go for 35 years. And they take a 35-year mortgage. Because the longer the mortgage term, the cheaper the monthly repayment. Okay, so those people who bought their properties in their mid-30s, they can easily be carrying that mortgage burden well into their retirement. Because if, for example, you are 37 or 36 and you take, say, a 35-year mortgage, it means that you will be 71 or thereabout by the time you're paying off the mortgage. Maybe your state retirement age is like 67 or 68. So it means like 3 years into that state retirement, you're still paying your mortgage. So also, some of the things that also contribute to you paying your mortgage well into your retirement are things like dipping into your equity, into the equity in your property. Remember, when you build equity in your property, as you pay down the capital that you borrowed to buy your property, that means you are leaving more equity in the property. So if you borrowed, say, £200,000, and a few years down the line, say 10 years down the line, you've paid, your outstanding mortgage balance stands at about, say, £170,000. So it means you have £30,000 in that property, assuming the value of that property remains 200,000. But if the property has appreciated from, say, 220 when you bought it to 280 at the time you've paid it down. So 170,000 is the mortgage outstanding. There is an equity of £110,000 in that property. If you now decide to take out that equity in that property, it means extra borrowing. So when you take out extra borrowing from that property, say an extra borrowing of 70,000, for example, out of the £110,000 left in the property, right? So you take out extra £70,000 borrowing, add it to the £170,000 outstanding mortgage, you have £240,000 to pay off instead of £170,000. And that extra borrowing will be treated as a new mortgage, as a different mortgage agreement on its own, with its own term, with its own payment amount. So if you add it to what you already own, you have a brand new mortgage of £240,000. Okay, and that brand new mortgage will now replace the old mortgage arrangement or agreement that you have, which means at that time when you are taking out that brand new mortgage, you are taking it out for a fresh new term, and maybe that fresh new term might be 15 years or 20 years. But maybe at the time you were taking out that mortgage, you had, say, 30 years left on your mortgage to pay. But then you took out the equity, and then you took out a brand new mortgage on that property. So you now have a brand new 20-year mortgage. So instead of 30 years to go, you now have 20 years to go. So you've added 7 years extra on top of that. So it's one of the things that drags mortgages into retirement, taking out equity. I am not making any judgment. I'm just explaining how mortgages extend into retirement and some of the things that drags them into retirement. Okay, so do not feel guilty if you're taking out equity from your property. I am just bringing the implications to your knowledge to say that these are the things that brings mortgages and drags them into retirement. I am not passing judgment on anybody or anything like that, but I'm just educating you on that basically. Now, so dipping into your equity at any stage of your mortgage could possibly drag the mortgage into retirement. Now, especially the other thing that could also drag mortgages into retirement are divorces. I think it was on Monday during my Modesty's Morning Masterclass that I mentioned that 42% of marriages in the UK ends in divorce. That's a massive amount, okay? So 42% of marriages ending in divorce means that divorces are a major contributing factor to mortgages dragging into retirement. Because what happens is, especially if the divorce happens at a later stage of your life or at a later stage of that marriage, say you are in your late 40s and you get divorced at that point in time. So if you had a mortgage before the divorce happened, two things could possibly happen. You either carry on with that mortgage and pay the other party off, or you get paid off and the other party keeps that mortgage. Or another possibility that you decide to sell the property and you split the money and everybody goes their way. And once in any of those scenarios, right, there is a possibility that the mortgage could be extended. For example, if you get divorced and you get paid off, you'll apparently be looking for a new property to buy. Maybe with the payoff money that you got, you want to buy a new property, and at that stage you want to arrange a new mortgage. And if you got divorced at in your late 40s and you take out a mortgage of say 25 years at that point in time, assuming you got divorced at 48 and you take out a 25-year mortgage, it means you'll be 73 by the time you pay off that mortgage. So that could well get into your retirement age, okay, depending on what you have chosen as your retirement age anyway. Because we live longer, some people set their retirement ages at later than others. And depending on the kind of job you're doing, if you are doing an administrative job or you are a business owner and your role in the business is just admin, or any job that is not physically demanding, you can afford to retire at a later age. So when mortgage lenders assess affordability and how long they should lend you the money for, they look at your age. That is where age plays a big part. And they look at your age. If you're 48 and you are a builder and you want a 25-year mortgage, it means that you will be paying off that mortgage when you are 73. And the mortgage lender will be asking themselves, at the age of 73, really as a builder, can you still be working as a builder at the age of 73, carrying bricks and climbing skyscrapers if needs be, and getting on top of scaffolds, getting on top of the roof? And can you really afford that tedious, physically demanding job? Can you afford to do it at that age of 73? The lender could say, no, we don't think so. So we're not going to lend you this money up to the age of 73. Some lenders have set their retirement and their maximum age by which you pay a mortgage to maybe 70. Some can lend you to as far as 75 without asking for your pension income or pension income statement. So for lenders who have set it at 70, they capped it at 70. No matter what your profession is, they will not lend you beyond the age of 70. So if you're 48, they can only give you a 21 or 22-year mortgage. So that by 70, the moment you're clocking 70, that mortgage will have been paid off. Some lenders will consider your profession, and if your profession is not physically demanding, they can lend you up to the age of 75. Okay? And because they know that up to the age of 75, You can still be an admin person. You can still be a medical doctor. You can still be a nurse. You can still be a business owner working in the admin part of your business. So if your job is not physical, they can lend you up to 75. We even have mortgage products now that lend up to the age of 85. Could you believe it? Up to the age of 85. Because simply people are living longer. So there are mortgage products that takes care of people like that. And those mortgage products up to the age of 85 also takes care of people who are late to the mortgage party, because everybody couldn't have, started at the same time. Some people started their life journey late. So before they were able to save enough and be able to afford a mortgage and all that, some people will be taking mortgages in their 50s, or some in their mid 50s, some in their late 50s. Some lenders are, they take recognition of that, and they are very, very aware of that. So there are some mortgage products that allows you to borrow up to the age of 85. But then you really have to prove and show the lender how you intend to pay for that mortgage into your retirement. So if it goes beyond a certain age, they will be needing you to produce a pension income statement to show that you have a pension, that when you retire, what you're paying into that pension or what you're paying into that pension will be enough to pay your mortgage, to make your mortgage repayments in retirement. Okay, so when you have a good pension plan, right, and you're saving for a pension, your mortgage repayment is very modest. It may not be that much of a problem, paying for your mortgage in retirement or when you get into retirement. But the risk becomes greater when that pension cannot cover your mortgage, and then you have to rely on working later in life. If you really have to rely on your income from your work after retirement or beyond retirement or in retirement, it's a more risky strategy, it's a more risky place to be than having a good pension that will take care of your mortgage repayments. So when lenders ask for pension income statement, they are not stupid, because they know that the reality and the possibility and the viability of you finding a job that will pay for your mortgage in retirement is very minimal. It's very slim. The chances are very slim. I mean, who would want to employ a 78-year-old person in a role where you are having to compete with someone who is, let's say, 45 in the same role? Employers would obviously want to take somebody who will be with the company for a longer period, somebody who is young, energetic, trainable, and somebody that they can get more out of at that point in time. So if you are relying on finding a job at the age of 78 so that you can pay your mortgage, it's not a good plan. The best plan would be to have a pension arrangement where that pension should be yielding you enough to be able to pay your mortgage. And at that time, your mortgage repayment should be just modest. It shouldn't be a hefty repayment amount. So over time, before you get there, you would have paid a lot of that mortgage off, and then you have just a little bit of it remaining to pay, so that your pension, there won't be that much pressure on your pension income to pay off that mortgage. So this explains why lenders ask for your pension income statement if your mortgage extends into your retirement age, because they want to be sure of how you can afford to pay off that mortgage when you retire. Okay, so if your mortgage term extends into your retirement age, it is worth thinking of how you'll be repaying or how you'll be paying off that mortgage, and draw up a plan. Okay, so talking about a plan now, how do we minimize the risk of that mortgage repayment in retirement? First of all, like I said, arrange a generous pension plan that can cover your mortgage, right? So if you haven't got a pension plan in place, it's worth thinking about one now, especially if you know and you think that your mortgage could possibly extend into your retirement, because there's a possibility that if you get a late, if you are late to the mortgage party, if you're the type that gets the mortgage maybe in their late 40s or in their late 50s, there's a good chance that the lender might ask you to produce a pension plan to show that a pension income statement to show that you can, your pension can take care of that mortgage in your retirement. Now, that's a good place to start. But then if you are self-employed, try and arrange a personal or private pension. If you're working and there's a workplace pension at your place and you are not part of that workplace pension, you are doing yourself a great disservice and great disfavor. Go and join your workplace pension immediately, as soon as you can. Do everything possible to be part of your workplace pension, because especially if your employer is paying into the pension plan as well. So if you're contributing and your employer is contributing, and then the government is subsidizing that by as much as 20%. The government is subsidizing your pension payment by as much as 20%. That is 20% free money from the government. And then your employer contributing into your pension pot. How better? How much more do you want for a freebie before you get involved? Get involved. Get involved in your workplace pension. Pay into the pension plan. Your employer pays in. The government tops that up. When you are retiring, you retire into your golden age with some very handsome, hefty pension in your purse. And then you can afford to, pay off your mortgage if you're still paying that off. You can afford to live your life in peace without having to bother too much about where the income is going to come from. Okay? So if you're late to the pension party, like if you weren't able to arrange mortgage or arrange a pension at an early stage, it's not too late. All you need to do if you are late to the pension party, is become more aggressive. As you pay into your pension pot, pay a lot more. So say if you started paying into your pension or started arranging your pension at the age of 55 or over, you might be saying, oh, I've wasted a lot of years without pension. There's no point. What's my pension pot going to give me? No, it's not too late. Even at 60, it's still not too late to start planning your pension, even at 60. All you've got to do is work out a time frame. If you're 55 and you now want to start at that point to plan for your pension, you can draw a 20-year pension plan and say, okay, let me target to retire at 75. It means I may have to work a little bit longer. So let me draw a 20-year pension plan, right? So for the next 20 years, I'm going to be very aggressive with my pension savings. So what it means is that you may have to delay some gratifications. Some of the things you love doing, you may have to give up some of the things you love doing now so that you can save for the future. Because your strength will not remain the same when you are 70. The strength you have now cannot carry you when you are 65. The strength you have in your 40s cannot be the same amount of strength when you are 67 or 68. So there comes a time in your life where you're not too strong to do certain things. Even at my age, there are things I used to do when I was very young that I know, I couldn't do. With my 3 children, sometimes I can't even keep up with their energy. I play football a lot. I play football every Saturday with my mates. In my mid-40s, I'm almost in my mid-40s, and I know for sure that it's not the way the energy I used to play football with when I was in my 20s that I now play football with now. So I'm having to know my limits, my capacity, and what I can do. Because the older you get, the less energetic you become. And you begin to adjust yourself, your lifestyle, your finances, and everything as you get older to suit those things. So it's not a bad time for you to start now. to start working and preparing for that pension, especially if you have not done it early enough. So don't say it's too late. It's not too late. All you need to do is to become more aggressive into it and say, once I set it up now, I'm going to be saving a lot into this pension pot, and I'm going to do everything possible to build it up to a reasonable pot and to a reasonable amount, so that by the time I retire, I will have something to retire on. So the other thing I need you to know is to understand the implications of dipping into your property equity, and then make adequate arrangements to mitigate those effects and the effects of those implications. I've mentioned, dipping into your property equity before. There is nothing wrong in taking out equity in your property to do things that you want to do. Some take out equity from their property, they borrow against their property to fund their children's wedding or marriage. There's nothing wrong with that. Some take out equity and they spend it on going on holiday. There's nothing wrong with that. Some take out equity on their property and they use it to buy cars. There's nothing wrong with that. Some take out equity on their property and they use it to buy a bigger property that they move into. That's fine. Some take out the equity and they use it to invest in other properties, like an investment property. Fine. Some take out the equity and use it for home improvements on the same property. Fine. There is nothing wrong in taking out equity on your property. Yeah? It's called remortgaging. All I need you to do, all I need you to know is to understand the implications of that. That when you take out equity or when you remortgage, it's a brand new mortgage arrangement that extends your current mortgage term further, unless you have chosen to keep it to the same mortgage term it is, which means your monthly repayment is going to go up significantly. Okay? Because when you remortgage and if it's not, unless it's just a product transfer, there's a difference between a product transfer and remortgaging with capital raising. If you are remortgaging with capital raising, it means that you are taking out extra money from the property and using that for a different purpose. But product transfer is simply moving from one mortgage product to the other without any capital raising. Then that's fine. It means your mortgage term can still remain the same. You're just moving your mortgage product. You can also take out capital and keep the mortgage term the same. But that extra capital you've taken out means extra borrowing added onto the existing mortgage, outstanding mortgage balance. If you keep it at the same mortgage term so that you can pay off the mortgage at the same time you intended to pay it off originally, it means your monthly repayment is going to go up significantly. That's the implication. But if you want your monthly payment not to go up significantly, it means you have to extend the mortgage term. So if you had 15 years left on your mortgage, you're borrowing extra and then you're making it 25 years so that you can now spread it across a longer term. So while longer term mortgages, the other thing you can also do is to overpay into your mortgage. So if your mortgage repayments every month is £800, you can start to pay £900 every month instead of £800. So that extra £100 you're paying into that mortgage. Hi Richard, good afternoon. Thanks for coming on. That extra £100 you're paying into that mortgage every month is going towards reducing the mortgage balance, the capital. And because interest is calculated on daily basis, so for every single payment you make, starting from that day you made that payment, the capital reduces, the interest reduces, right? The capital reduces, the interest reduces. For every single, so it starts counting from the day you made the payment. So that extra £100 could reduce your mortgage term by, as many years as you cannot imagine. So it means that you can pay off your mortgage earlier by making extra payments, overpayments into your mortgage. Now, mortgage lenders do set a maximum overpayment amount. A lot of them will say you cannot overpay by more than 10% of the outstanding mortgage term in a year. So if your outstanding mortgage term is say £150,000, in a year you cannot overpay by more than £15,000. Okay? That's the maximum. Some even are generous enough to say 20%. which means you can overpay your mortgage by as much as £30,000 in a year if your outstanding mortgage is £150,000. So you have to look at your mortgage contract to find out what the maximum is when it comes to overpayments. Some mortgage contracts don't even allow overpayments at all. So make sure you look at your mortgage contract to know what is allowed before you overpay. Because if your mortgage contract does not allow overpayments, if you overpay, the mortgage lender will charge you an early repayment charge. You get penalized for even overpaying. Okay, so make sure you understand what your mortgage contract says. Okay, so the other thing is, while longer term mortgages will reduce your monthly repayments, yeah, they mean that you have to bear the mortgage burden for longer. So even though you can extend the mortgage term, please bear in mind and know that it means that you have to bear that mortgage burden for a longer period of time. Because yes, you can take 35-40 year mortgages. It means your monthly repayment will be lower, but know that the implication is that you have to bear that mortgage term for longer. But you can mitigate that by overpayment if your mortgage allows that. So which means you can actually have best of both worlds. So you can take out the longer term mortgage if you can, but then if you want to shrink that, you can start making overpayments into that mortgage when you can. So if you have like a windfall, or if you have some extra money, if you have bonuses from your work, or if you have some extra money coming into your pocket and you're thinking, where do I put this? Invest or pay down mortgage. Invest or pay down mortgage. You make that decision. If you decide to pay down your mortgage, you pay down your mortgage, depending on by how much. That reduces your outgoings. Because when you pay down that mortgage, it means your outgoings might reduce in terms of mortgage repayments. And those outgoings that are reduced, you can take out the difference in that and put it in an investment account. So if you have paid down your mortgage and it has reduced your mortgage repayments by say £100, and you are now having to pay £100 less than what you used to pay, you could say, okay, that extra £100, I'm going to be putting it into an investment account every month, because that's the savings I've made. I'm going to be investing that. You could do that as well. Okay, so that's how to minimize the risk of mortgage repayments in retirement. The last and final thing I want to point out here is with repayment holidays, mortgage holidays. Rather than seeking out mortgage holidays, right? At the point you are arranging your mortgage, you can actually arrange for protection policies that can pay your mortgage when you can't. And then you can pick it up when you can. Okay? A lot of people have found themselves, seeking for mortgage payment, especially in this pandemic, when the government said, yes, lenders can allow people to take payment holidays. And people have taken 3 months payment holidays. Those 3 months payment holidays doesn't mean that you will not pay the mortgage. Those are debts that you still have to pay. It's just that they have given you a breathing space for 3 months, and they have piled on that debt. And as that debt is piled on, you are still going to pay interest on them. So when you come around to resolving that deferred mortgage payment, the lender will give you an option. Either your monthly repayments will shoot up significantly, or they will have to extend your mortgage term to accommodate those late payments or those extra payments you're supposed to make, because the current term means that you're going to be paying too much. And if your circumstances does not permit that those mortgage terms will be extended, maybe because they're going to extend into your retirement, and the nature of your job does not permit that as a solution, the lender will have to either ask you to pay more than what you're currently paying, or they find another way of resolving it with you. But either way, those are debts that you have to pay. Now, if you took out a protection policy, an insurance policy that takes care of unemployment or sickness or accident, and it happens that you were unable to pay your mortgage as a result of any of these occurrences, What it means is that that protection policy kicks in and it starts paying your mortgage while you can't. The moment you are able to pick it up again, you start paying your mortgage again. In that case, your mortgage payment is not interrupted in any way. Your mortgage keeps being paid, and it doesn't risk you extending that into retirement, because there is no reason to do that. So while you are arranging your mortgage, every time you are mortgaging or remortgaging, always revisit and review your protection policies. And I always tell my clients when I'm arranging them, I said, we are going to be having a conversation around your protection policies. And the fact find we send to our clients, we ask them questions about the protection policies, because these policies help keeps life going when life becomes tough and difficult. So you might think that you are healthy, you are strong now, you don't have any need for them, but you never know when you're going to have need for them, and that's when you cannot arrange them. So build protection into your mortgage arrangements so that you do not have to worry about the impact and the implications of these things when these risks occur, because you have made those plans ahead of time. Okay, so I'm going to give you a live case update, just to give you an indication of what we are doing and how we are doing what we are doing. And the live case study that I would like to share with you today is regarding a client of mine that got introduced to me by an accountant friend of mine that I work with very closely. And this accountant, by the way, he's been referring a lot of clients to me recently, because of the good feedbacks and reviews that he's getting from a lot of his clients about how we deal with their mortgage cases and how we help them and what we do for them. So one of these cases he referred to me, I think I've briefly mentioned this case before somewhere here, but just to give you another how we got on with that. So this guy came to me with his mortgage situation, buying a property in Scotland, and more than 6 months ago, he met another broker, and they tried to submit this case to a lender, and then for some reason, the broker said, the lender said he couldn't do the case because of this reason or the other. No, they are not comfortable with the source of your deposits, and they are not comfortable with the income that you have shown. And the guy was surprised and shocked, because he felt that he met the income requirements. Hi, Udoka, good afternoon. Thanks for coming on. He felt he met the income requirements. He felt he met every requirement that the lender wanted, and he couldn't understand why the mortgage didn't go through. But hey, the broker said, well, sorry, we can't do it. So, and he kept on trying. He tried with another lender. They got to a point as if it was going to be successful, and then the lender pulled the plug again. He went to another broker, and they attempted with another lender, and they pulled the plug again, just when it looked like they were making progress. So he came to me, as somebody who was frustrated and confused. And the accountant referred him to me and said, hey, if there's anybody who is going to help you out and be able to look at your case, it's Ikenna, go talk to him. So no pressure then. So when he came to me and we sat down and we looked at his documents, and I told him what to give to me, and he brought those documents and he sent them across, and we did the fact find. So first of all, I aligned his income, straightened it, and made sure that it was fit for purpose, making sure that the income was something that we can prove, and we had enough documents to back that income up. He provided me with all those documents. So I packaged that case, and because we had to go to the same lender that had turned him down. And I said to him, we can't go to another lender now. This is the lender that is capable of doing this, and let's go and present this case differently. So we went to this lender, and we presented the case differently to the lender. And the underwriter handling that case called me up, and he sounded very frustrated, and he sounded angry. Hi, COC, good afternoon. So this guy came and said, and the way he was kicking off and the way he was like throwing everything at me, it was obvious that he was angry, he was frustrated. And I said to him, hey, why are you sounding so frustrated? Why are you sounding so furious at this case? I just presented a mortgage case to you. Is it something you can do or not? He said, I'm really frustrated because we have looked at this case 6 months ago and we said no. And this guy came to you and then he repackaged the story and you are giving us the same case, the same applicant, and then you are turning the story upside down. And I said, no. It's because 6 months is long enough a time for circumstances to change. And maybe you were looking at this case from a different lens 6 months ago. But this is the lens I want you to look at this case from now. And he goes, no, we're not having it. We're not taking this case. We're not approving it. That case is dead in the water. We said no 6 months ago and we still say no now. We're not taking it. We're not having any of it. And I said, can you calm down? Because it doesn't look like the reasons you're giving to me for which you will not entertain this case are things that we can easily talk about, talk over, and I'm sure that we can arrive at a compromise because there are things that we can easily discuss and prove or disprove if you want to. He said, no, I've told you that we are not looking at this case where everything you present or this document you presented, we don't want it, we don't like it. He wasn't even willing to listen, and I said, okay, if that's your call, then that's fine. So I went back to the client. I said, this is the conversation I had with the lender, and it looks like, they're not having any of it. So they had to cancel the reservation they made for the property you wanted to buy. So in less than 2 weeks, the same underwriter called me up on the phone. And this time he was sounding more humane, more composed, more gentlemanly, and more understanding. And he said, well, some senior guys in the office have looked at this case and they just want me to gather more information about the case and see, that, he said, look, I don't think this case is going to fly anyway. It's going to be a waste of time. But just for the sake of information gathering, I said, hey, calm down. Don't write the case off yet. I told you the other day that you were sounding frustrated and it beclouded your sense of judgment. You were not approaching this case from an objective point of view. Now, let's look at this case from an objective point of view. What are the issues you have with the case? Let me know. He started mentioning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this. I said, okay, let's take them one at a time. And I started thrashing each of those objections one at a time. I'm going to give you an example of one of the objections he came up with. He said, hey, there's a name on this particular, on his bank statement that keeps coming up all the time. And they keep exchanging transactions. You see, I think and I suspect that is his partner, and he doesn't want his partner to become part of the application. And there's a reason he doesn't want it. So I said to him, how did you know that that's his partner? He said, well, that's my suspicion. I said, that's your suspicion. And based on your suspicion, you want to turn down a case based on suspicion? For something you cannot prove? I said, the name you are seeing on that document is his landlady. He lives in the same property with his landlady. He said, so why are they exchanging transactions? Sometimes he pays money to her, sometimes she pays money to him. I said, okay. Have you ever been in a position where you live in the same property with your landlady? He said, no, I rent my property, but I don't have that kind of relationship with my landlord. I said, yeah, that's the case, that's the problem. You have never experienced that kind of relationship. So how would you know how it works? That this person lives in the same property with his landlady. So they can possibly exchange transactions. And some of those transactions could also possibly be rent in advance that he is paying to his landlady. To say, oh, I've got some extra money. There is a rent in advance. When I have money, I'll pay you so I don't have to think about rent again. And sometimes they exchange transactions because the landlady can say, oh, I need to buy something. Can you help me buy this? I'll pay money into your account and then you buy it and then I reimburse you. So it happens. I said, whatever relationship he has chosen to develop with his landlady is none of your business because you cannot prove that this person is his partner. The only person who can tell you the nature of the relationship is the person who is in the relationship. And I said, this guy lives in that property, so whatever he says, or whoever he says this person is who the person is, unless you have an evidence to prove it otherwise. And he sat there quietly on the phone listening to me. And he said, well, yeah, I think that, yeah, fair enough, that's right. I said, yeah. I said, that's why I told you the other day, take off your hat off, your bias hat off, put your objective hat on, and then we can talk. And he goes, oh yes, even about the property itself, the nature of that property, it doesn't fit the kind of property we want to lend against. And I said, what's wrong with the property? He said, yeah, because the document says it's built of timber. I said, timber? Because timber was mentioned on the document. Is that why you are saying the property? Have you been to the property before? He said, no. I said, okay, why don't you send your valuer to the property and have a look at it? He said, no, we're not wasting our valuer's time to go to a property and then come back with a negative report that the property is not fit for purpose. I said, okay, if you haven't been to the property before and you're relying on the timber mentioned in the document, how would you know that that property is not fit for the... He said, okay, so how can you prove that? Can you get me a marketing description of that property? I said, yes, I can get you that. He said, yeah, get me that. I said, I'm going to get you a marketing description of that property. And you're going to see that that property is a standard built bricks and mortar. The mentioning of timber there just means that there is a good amount of timber, say, in the roofing frame and some other frames of the property. Every property in this country, almost all of them, has got timber somewhere in that property. So you can't just write off a property because timber was mentioned in the materials it was built. He said, okay, just get me the marketing document, and then we started. So up to 7 objections, and one after the other, I thrashed every single one of them. And then we whittled it down to requesting for just about 2 documents. I got off that phone. I called my client. I said, go back to the builder and reopen the reservation. It looks like something is going to change. He said, no, don't raise my hopes. I said, no, just go and do what I said he should do. He went back to the builder, reopened the reservation that was closed. He got me the documentation I asked him to get me for. And then on the lender's side, they have already declared that case as closed. I rang up the lender. I said, why did you close the case? We just talked about it the other day and it's still showing closed. He said, okay, don't worry. I'm going to reopen the case and then let me see what you can offer. And then they reopened the case. We went back, got some more documents that the lender requested, gave the lender those documents. And guess what? They have sent a valuer to the property to go value the property. And the valuation report came back that the property was fit for lending purposes. And there we go, valuation done, documents submitted, every requirement met, reservation reopened, application reopened, and now we are talking of conveyancing and even talking of completion and exchange and completion on a case that was dead in the water and that was rejected 6 months ago. So dear friends, you know, that is how we do what we do over here, because we put our soul and our heart and our mind into every single case and into every single thing we do. So it's just an indication of, you know, how we help clients and how we help our customers. So if you've got any case you would like to discuss with me, give me a call, drop me a message, and I'm happy to discuss any case with you and see how we can go about it. If we can't help you, we'll be very, very objective and very, very honest with you to say, hey, this doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere. So, but if we think we can give it a go, we'll give it a go. We never say no until we have explored every possible option. So thank you so much for being part of this once again, and thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. I remain your man, Ikenna Umezudike. Check me out on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and go to our YouTube channel. Subscribe. It's free of charge. We don't charge money for subscription. And just search Ikenna Umezudike on YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channels, because we release contents. There are videos there that we, videos of things we have done in the past, and our back catalog of educational materials like this, both on money and on mortgages. You wouldn't want to miss any episode of it. Go back there, go to YouTube and watch them all. And we keep updating them and we keep adding contents to it every now and then. So until then, I'll see you again on Monday. Have a lovely week and have a lovely day. God bless you and goodbye.